The session is being recorded.
All right, great. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for State Bar Day. We are excited to share some information with you and hopefully have a little bit of exchange with you via Q&A that will be open throughout today. Obviously, we know that many of you, your focus appropriately is on the July bar exam.
Recording in progress.
We know there are a number of questions about how the July bar exam will differ from the February exam, and we've structured today's programming to afford sufficient time to really get into those issues. So really wanted to assure you of that. But before we get started formally, I'm going to turn things over to Louisa Arpetian, who is going to do a little bit of a housekeeping overview with us and take us through a fun exercise. Louisa?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining State Bar Day. We're excited to have you all here. Just a quick update on the activities that we're going to be engaging in today. This presentation will have an interactive component to the presentations, and it will be done via an app called a Thought Exchange. So what you'll be doing is you'll be answering just a few questions through your phone. So please have it handy, and I will also be placing a link in the Q&A chat box if you'd feel more comfortable answering those questions via your computer. So we'll get started on that. Give me a moment and I will put in the chat. Okay. Okay, so you should see the actual link in the chat now, and I will share my screen as well. Okay, and here's the QR code. If you feel more comfortable scanning it and joining from your phone, you can do so, and you can respond to the questions, and then afterwards we'll have some time to review them. Okay, we have 172 participants, and that number is still going up. So we'll give it a couple of more minutes. If you're just joining the session, we're participating in an interactive activity. So if you could scan this QR code or join via the link that I've placed in the Q&A chat. And please answer those questions. Shouldn't take you more than a couple of minutes. If you're just joining this webinar, just a quick update on what we're doing. We're engaging in an interactive activity. Please use this QR code to scan and join in responding to a few questions and engaging in a discussion question that we've asked all of you. And we'll close this in just a few seconds. Okay. Thank you to everyone who participated. I will turn it over to Leah.
All right, well, turn it over to me while Louisa gathers up the results to share. So I neglected to mention or introduce myself. I'm Leah Wilson, the Executive Director of the State Bar. And you see on the screen a number of members of our team who have helped to prepare and will present to you today. I saw in the chat a question about how does the survey relate to the July 2025 exam. And as I mentioned when I opened in my opening remarks prior to launching the survey, we know that is what folks really want to talk about, and we will most definitely be getting into that fairly soon. I will give you a brief overview of what we are going to cover now. I am going to start off by just sharing with you a bit of context for the State Bar overall. I think it's important. You all are obviously and necessarily very focused on the front end of our system, which is admissions, but the State Bar is much more than that. And I think it's important that you all have that context. Then I'll be turning it over to Amy Nunez in the Office of Admissions, who will be going over in detail the July 2025 exam, and importantly, how that exam will differ from February 2025. Acknowledging, and I will do it directly, you will see us doing this throughout, that the February exam experience was unacceptable, and we are committed to ensuring that it's not repeated. And so I want you to hear that very clearly before we even begin today. After you get some information about the July 2025 exam, we'll move on to giving you some more what we call admissions nuts and bolts, but how to register as a law student, the moral character determination process, testing accommodations processes that you can expect. And then we're going to transition to give you a bit of information about resources that are available to help you, specifically our lawyer assistance program and our Office of the Public Trust Liaison, which is our version of an ombudsperson. And then we're going to transition to talk to you about resources to help you later. And in this section, you're going to hear about some of your post-admission requirements. And I will say, in relation to one of the survey questions that you were asked to answer, a key thing that you need to be aware of is your responsibility to make sure that the State Bar has a current and accurate email address for you. And we know that increasingly folks are interested in communicating in other ways besides email. And this is important to us, and it's important to you because you will miss out on some of your reporting obligations if we don't have an effective way of communicating with you. And we want to learn, particularly from newer generations coming up, how you prefer to hear from the State Bar. Following some of those reporting obligations, you're going to hear from our Office of Professional Competence, again, to give you information about resources that will be available to you once you are licensed. And we're going to close things out prior to the initiation of a Q&A session with some presentations from local and affinity bar associations. You should certainly view those in the repertoire of resources that will be available to you as a licensed attorney. And again, I've mentioned a couple times, the Q&A is open throughout this session, but we will also set aside hopefully 30 minutes at the end just to respond to questions. So with that, Louisa, are we able to share any poll results or survey results? All right, so why people want to become a lawyer. I love looking at this, and those of you that put your answers in the Q&A, thank you. I got to see one that was really inspiring. It seems like we have a 70-year-old RN who is pursuing her license to help folks access medical care and other issues. So thank you for doing that. And we can see here by the size of these letters, justice and helping people. These are often what we hear about as to why people want to become a lawyer. I will ask you to think about something that's a little bit sobering, which is that data from our those reporting requirements that I mentioned to you and other surveys that we issue tells us that only about 25% of you will actually end up practicing law in an area that we would call people law, where you're really working directly to serve individual clients. We see more and more attorneys going into corporate law, big law, going into medium-sized law firms, going in-house counsel, and working for the government. And these are all really important parts of the profession. But when you think about those factors that motivated you to go to law school and maybe reflect on that a few years from now and what you're doing, I'll just, be curious to see if you feel that you've ended up where you thought you were going to be. Let's move on, Louisa. All right, so the State Bar of California. Who are we? The State Bar has a statutory mission, and we are really lucky in that our mission tells us to do a number of things. Obviously, regulation and discipline of attorneys. That's critically important. But also, we are required to advance the ethical and competent practice of law. And of course, we do that most visibly through the rules. This last clause or prong of our statutory mission, I really like to emphasize, particularly when I'm talking to my colleagues in other states, as we are unique in California with a statutory mission to increase access to and inclusion in the legal system. And of course, some of these words are really hot topics right now nationally. We've been asked to defend our efforts and focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And one of the reasons that we would feel very confident about our work is A, it is perfectly legal and non-discriminatory in nature, but B, we have a statutory directive to pursue these objectives. Next slide. As I said, I wanted to give you all a little bit of a sense of what the State Bar does. You are joining a profession. You will be regulated by the State Bar of California. I think it's important for you to know what we do. So as I mentioned, we license, regulate, and discipline attorneys. And of course, you know about the California Bar Exam. I think many of you know that we accredit California non-ABA schools that are accredited, and we also regulate registered California law schools. We are very unique as a state in having this full array of law school types available to students, and the State Bar has a very active role in maintaining that diversity. The State Bar, a relatively new responsibility. We are proactively monitoring client trust accounts. You'll hear about this a little bit later in terms of your affirmative reporting obligations. But what's important, this is something I know, having gone to law school a long time ago, and I don't know if things have changed, but I know when I was in law school, I didn't hear one thing about a client trust account, managing clients' money. This is really critically important, and it's an area where folks can and have gotten into trouble. And so I hope you really pay attention to the resources that we have available to you to help you learn about your obligations and then really understand what those are to your clients and to the State Bar. We obviously process and prosecute complaints against California attorneys. I think folks know about that. A little less known, we have our version of a victim restitution fund. Part of your annual fee that you will pay every year is $40 for the client security fund. This reimburses victims of attorney theft, and we reimburse about $6 to $7 million a year out of those resources that your licensing fees support. Also, not so well known, we have a probation system. We have a State Bar court, and we have a probation system. We have hundreds of attorneys on probation at any given time. We are really worked hard to modernize that system. I hope that none of you find yourselves in probation or on probation, but if you do, you can expect a process and a structure that is oriented towards rehabilitation and making sure that you can successfully get back to active practice. In that middle column, This speaks to that prong about advancing the ethical and competent practice of law. Of course, we promulgate the rules. In addition to the rules, we issue a lot of ethical guidance. And one of the most important ones I think that we've done recently is around the use of AI, lawyer use of AI. In law school, I know you're talking about it. It's here. It's definitely here in terms of the practice of law. And we're working hard to keep a pace with the changes that the technology is bringing. We also provide a number of supports to help lawyers in ensuring that they can be compliant with all of their conduct requirements, and you will hear about some of that today. Lastly, with respect to that third prong of our statutory mission, it's important for you to know that the State Bar is the single largest funder of legal services in California. This funding is not coming from your mandatory license fees that you will pay. It's not coming from the admissions fees that you will or have paid. It comes from, in large part, interest earned on those client trust accounts that you will maintain or your firms will maintain. That is sent back to the State Bar by the banks, and we distribute that out to legal services agencies. So this number, 150 million, I think is actually too low. We are close to 200 million going out to California legal services organizations. And lastly, we do have a significant focus on increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion of the profession. And one of the main ways we do that is by publishing a report card on how we are doing as a profession statewide. Normally in this presentation, I spend some time going over that data. I'm foregoing that this time because we do want to leave plenty of time to talk about the July bar exam. But just know that we publish an annual report card on diversity of the profession, and I encourage any of you that are interested to go to our website and check that out. And with that, I will turn things over to Amy Nunez to get right into the July bar exam. Amy?
Thank you, Leah. Hi, my name is Amy Nunez. I am the program director over examinations. And I want to cover today what will be different and what stays the same about the California bar exam. So the exam is scheduled to take place on Tuesday and Wednesday, July 29th and 30th. And this is scheduled to be an in-person examination. So all applicants will test at a State Bar procured site, which I will talk through in a moment. So on day one of the exam, we will administer the exams, the essays, and the performance test. And on day two, we will administer the multiple choice questions. So day one is split between a morning and an afternoon session. Applicants will get their questions. They get questions 1, 2, and 3 in the morning with a lunch break, followed by an afternoon session that is where they get questions 4, 5, and the PT. And the questions are provided to the applicants all at once, and they can divvy up their time as they see fit. On day two, I want to note this is where there's a change in the schedule. Previously, we handed 100 questions in the morning and 100 questions on day two in the afternoon. We are now going to do 2 90-minute sessions, so applicants will get 50 questions in the morning with a break and 50 questions before lunch. After lunch, they have another set of 50 questions, a 90-minute session, a break, and then finally the last set of the 50 questions to total 200. So that's a little different than we have in the past, where I mentioned that we provided 100 at once. So the exam will be administered in our traditional mode. That is, applicants will come in person, and applicants can take the exam using their own personal laptops. As with previous exams, when somebody brings their laptop, you can bring a separate keyboard, a mouse that's either wired or wireless, a laptop riser, and a solid color mouse pad with no writing on it. One thing also that's very different from the February bar exam is that applicants will receive the essays and PT in hard copy, as we have traditionally provided at a in-person exam. So applicants will get the questions, as I mentioned, at the start of the session, like for example, in the morning for the 3-hour session, and they can allocate their time as needed. So if they choose to spend like 45 minutes in one question, you can allocate the remaining 15 minutes on another question. So the morning, like I said, is a 3-hour session. Afternoon is a 3.5-hour session for the 2 essays and a 90-minute PT. So traditionally, the multiple choice questions have been administered in a paper format, meaning that applicants get the exam booklet and the Scantron sheets and answer the questions in that format. Staff are recommending that the multiple choice questions are provided in ExamSoft for the July 2025 bar exam.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Amy. Should Louisa be advancing the slide? I can't tell.
No,
Okay,
it's all
right. Okay.
Yes. And so this would reduce the need for hard copy material. It can also reduce errors like missing Scantrons. And we also get reports of people who mark too hard or erase too much. And so this generally will facilitate an easier exam administration to provide the multiple choice questions in ExamSoft. Also, applicants that have taken the multiple choice portion of the exam in ExamSoft report that it's easier to navigate than in hard copy, because this was provided in electronically during the COVID exams. So staff proposed to use ExamSoft on day 1 and day 2 of the exam, and this will be considered at tomorrow's CBE meeting. So we'll know more about the format of the multiple choice questions after that, and we'll keep applicants updated on our website. So if you look at this grid at the top, so what is staying the same and what's changing between in July compared to February? So the format is now 100% in person as opposed to the hybrid format that we had in February. The essays, PT, and multiple choice scope is staying the same. The question, all the sources, the State Bar will use State Bar developed essays and PT, and the multiple choice questions procured from Kaplan. And the questions will continue to be validated by law school faculty, licensees who recently took the exam, and licensees that supervise recent admittees. We will not be using the measured learning platform, but contingent on the CBE approval, we'll use it as ExamSoft platform, which does not require internet activity during the exam. So, like I said, we await CBE approval to contract with ExamSoft. The testing sites are listed here, but they are subject to final approval by the Committee of Examiners. The Board of Trustees have approved these contingent on the Committee of Bar Examiners determination tomorrow. So we reserved several locations that they're on hold. They're listed here. We anticipate also on this list, Anaheim is noted, that'll be available for a testing site by April 11th if approved. But as you can see here, the majority of sites have been previously used by the California bar exam. At least 9 were used during the July 2024 bar exam. And the remaining space that we seek are TA sites in Los Angeles and Ontario. And just to note, staff have planned for about 10,000 applicants for the July 2025 exam, and we anticipate that about 11% will require testing accommodations around the state. All right, next slide. As I mentioned, staff recommend using ExamSoft, a platform that we've used for the California bar exam since 2002, with the exception of last February. The software allows applicants to compose their written answers. Those answers are then uploaded and submitted to the State Bar for grading the next time an applicant is close to internet connectivity. Many applicants are familiar with this software. It's used in most California law schools for exam taking, so it makes this a little easier during the exam administration. And like I mentioned, unlike live and remote proctoring, the software does not require an active and consistent internet connection while testing. So this reduces the potential for technological glitches. So at in-person examinations, I mentioned applicants bring their own laptop with the pre-installed software. The applicants use the hard copy essays and PT and submit the responses through the software. A mock exam will be required because this ensures compatibility. It familiarizes applicants with the software, and the software is downloaded onto the laptop in preparation for exam day via the mock exam. The system, the ExamSoft feature, also allows copy and paste, as well as highlighting function, all within the applicant response. So because there's no electronic file, the only contents that exist is what applicants put into the system. The system has the ability to increase font size and has spell check. For if the multiple choice questions are incorporated, there's a strike-through capacity that exists within ExamSoft as well. Next slide. All right, so these are the two areas, the scope of the written portion and of the multiple choice question section of the exam. And also, I'll talk about this more when we talk about the resources, but we also have content map for each of these areas that describe in detail the areas that applicants are expected to be familiar with for the California bar exam. All right, so on the California bar exam scope page, you'll find the content maps that I noted. We also have a student guide that contains 25 sample questions that will help applicants prepare for the exam. The State Bar plans also to release more sample questions in anticipation of the July 2025 exam, and we will alert applicants as soon as those become available. We recommend that you use a student guide in preparation for the exam. Also, applicants can find previous exam questions on that same web page. Past exam questions refer to both essays and PT that have been used on previous bar exams. For the upcoming exam, we have two different positive mindset interventions that aim to help students with the bar exam preparation. So the first is Strategies and Stories program, which many of you might be familiar with. We started with a cohort in 2018. The July 2025 exam will be the 12th wave of this study that has proven to help applicants pass the bar exam. More information about that initiative, there's a few write-ups on our website if you want to learn more about that. And for the first time, we're going to be offering the Peak Performance Program. And this is a study designed to help applicants harness stress and optimize performance and enhance well-being as they prepare for the California bar exam. Links to both of these programs can be found in the California bar exam application. And again, I noted that for the Peak Performance, this is the first time we'll be providing this program. So we're eager to hear about the results. All right. So this is part of the nuts and bolts section of the presentation. So I'll be talking about registering as a law student before we get into the moral character and testing accommodations. So one thing about registering as a law student, this is a very important part of the initiation of your licensing attempts. So the first thing is the applicant portal is going to follow you throughout your whole licensing path. So the first thing you have to do is register within the first 90 days of law study if you plan to practice in California. So once you register, you have to include your contact information, background information, your law school, and so on. You need to make sure that you keep your State Bar email, your personal email, the one that you wish to be contacted through, updated, because this is what will be used as you continue on to your career as an attorney. So it's important your State Bar, your email is up to date. We also have a process if you forget your password, how to reset your password. All of your licensing requirement activities are going to reside in this portal. Things like your MPRE status reside there, moral character application status, your eligibility to sit for the California bar exam, and also your registration for the California bar exam itself will all happen through this portal. Next slide, please. So why register now? I've already mentioned it's in a BMP code that applicants have to do that within the first 90 days. It's important to be familiar with the system before licensure begins. So there are different requirements that are tracked here. There's a portion of this portal where applicants can go in and look at their status, what we call the status screen. And that's where you can see how many of the licensing requirements have been accomplished. throughout your law school. And so it's important to be familiar with what those are, to know what's outstanding, and those exist in this portal. Also, for applicants that are unsuccessful on exams, your questions and answers are in that portal. That's how they will be delivered to you. They are in the system on a temporary basis. So it's important that if you are unsuccessful in the bar exam and you want your questions and responses to keep them, that once you access them, that you download them for yourselves. Also, different bar initiatives that we have provided, such as the special sessions that were conducted back in November of this year, will take place. Invitations happen through the portal, and how you register for some of these initiatives happen through the portal. I already mentioned too, the positive mindset intervention and the peak performance, that all of those initiatives you sign up via the portal. Next slide, please. All right, so the applicant portal, I mentioned the applications are on here. Application timelines. So this is very important. We've had people call us and let us know, like, I can't access the bar exam application. Sometimes that happens for one of two reasons. One is either somebody is applying too early. There is a very specific time frame that the bar exam application opens for, or somebody applies too late. So it's very important to be familiar with those timelines. As noted here, instructions and admissions on admissions website and FAQs, those go hand in hand with the application availability or how to use the portal itself. So you will find a wealth of information about upcoming, about the exams that are upcoming, about the deadlines, about corresponding things that have to happen in conjunction with your for example, eligibility, when your transcripts are due in order for you to demonstrate that you've met the education requirements to sit for the bar exam. All of those information will exist on our website, and then will be your ability to meet those deadlines or those requirements will reside in this portal. And in terms of what the specifications are for your computer compatibility with the portal, that's also on our website. Next screen, please. So here is what the portal looks like. So when you get to the portal here, you'd enter your email and address. I'm sorry, your password. If you do not have an email or password, then you would register as an applicant. When you register as an applicant, it takes several steps for you to add information to complete that application. Next screen, please. Here is a very essential screen. It's almost where everything resides. So as you see in the menu above, what you have is home. You have your application, special admissions. These are programs such as PTLS, people who are in LOS. Those are the different special admissions programs that exist there. The status screen that I referred to, that final option on that menu bar, is where people would look to see if they've satisfied the MPRE requirement, your moral character requirement. It's basically a status of all of the licensing requirements for licensees. To access applications, you can hit the view forms. And if the application for your bar exam was available, that's how you would complete that. And I want to highlight here too that one area where people often get confused is the difference between applying as a law student, registering as a law student, and registering to sit for the California bar exam. Those are two very different steps. So it's very critical that people keep that in mind. You first have to register as a law student and be approved, and then you can come back and register for the bar exam, which is why we encourage people to do it very early before you're eligible to sit for the bar exam. All right, next screen, please. Okay.
Sorry, give me a moment.
Oh, no problem. Okay. Oops. All right, and here you can see all of your applications. So if if you start an application and you need to come back to work on it, all your applications will be noted here, which ones are in draft. You can come back and edit. So you don't need to start an application and finish it in one sitting. This is where you would find the menu of what you've started and how you can continue. All right. And then here is a list under the Help Center of the different FAQs and the step-by-step guides that exist, and assistance with other areas if you need that, a name change, withdrawal request, to update your social security number, or whatever the case might be, and to submit a general request. So when we tell people like you should send us an email like about, with questions, with concerns, reports that you need to submit. This is that new general request is the method for doing that. All right, then I will hand it over to Christian Harvey, Program Manager, who will cover the moral character application process.
Thank you, Amy. Hello, everyone. My name is Christian Harvey. I'm the Program Manager for the Moral Character Determinations Unit. As most of you know, a positive moral character determination is one of the requirements for admission to practice law in California, as required by the Business and Professions Code and defined by the admissions rules. In the next few minutes, I'll briefly outline the application process, how we conduct the evaluation, and the possible outcomes you may receive. Hopefully, this roadmap will help you navigate the process and prepare for each step. So how do we define good moral character? In California, good moral character includes, but is not limited to, qualities of honesty, fairness, candor, trustworthiness, observance of fiduciary responsibility, respect for and obedience to the law, and respect for the rights of others and the judicial process. Next slide, please. So we assess those qualities through the moral character application process. This process is a background investigation that examines various aspects of an applicant's personal and professional history. As you can see here, this includes education, residence history, employment, self-employment, military service, credentials, scholastic discipline, convictions, discharge of obligations, and indebtedness. The application process can take a minimum of 180 days to complete. So we do encourage you to gather this information early and submit the application at the beginning of your last year of law school. Processing delays may occur if an application is incomplete during our initial review phase of the application process. This usually occurs due to missing documentation, such as LifeScan form, fingerprint cards for applicants who do not reside in California, or certified out-of-state driving records. One thing to note, a LifeScan form is automatically emailed to applicants after the application is submitted online. I'm also pleased to announce that we're currently revising the moral character application to create a better experience for applicants. These improvements will streamline the process, eliminate redundancies, and significantly reduce processing time. Our goal is to maintain the thoroughness required for a proper evaluation while making the application more straightforward and efficient for everyone involved. Next slide, please. So we have a few resources here. The moral character page of our website serves as your central hub for our official information and forms required for the application process. The moral character statement outlines our mission in evaluating applicants and explains why the moral character assessment is essential to protecting the public. The governing law section provides the legal foundation for moral character requirements, and the application processing section provides instructions and documentation requirements for submitting a complete moral character application. We also have a roadmap to understanding the relevant factors in conduct to help applicants anticipate potential issues that may come up in their background and address them proactively in their application. The moral character guidelines provide specific criteria that we use when making moral character determinations, which we hope will help applicants understand how their application will be assessed. Next slide, please. Okay, now let's review the possible outcomes of the moral character determination process. So first is a positive determination, which is valid for 3 years from the date it is granted. However, if for some reason you are not licensed to practice law by that time, you may submit an extension application, which is a condensed version of the moral character application, in which we ask if any changes have occurred since the approval of your last moral character application. Next, your application may be referred for further investigation. This doesn't mean you will be denied. It just means that we need additional information or clarification before a determination is made. You may be offered advance, which means your application is temporarily paused to address specific concerns through programs such as anger management, ethics courses, client trust accounting school, or the State Bar's ethics school. Completion of those requirements allows your application to proceed once you complete those steps. And finally, we may extend a negative determination, which is a standard 2-year. However, it may be less. And during this period, you are not allowed to apply for another determination until that period expires. However, applicants, they do have the right to request an administrative review by the Committee of Bar Examiners, as well as a formal appeal to State Bar Court. The key takeaway that I would like to emphasize is that transparency and candor throughout the moral character process is essential. We value honesty in addressing past issues, and this approach will serve you best as you navigate this critical step toward California bar admission. Now that we've covered the moral character determination process, I want to hand it back to our program director, Amy Nunez, to discuss the admissions process further.
Thank you. Right, so next screen, please. All right, so open this up. So testing accommodations are provided to ensure that an applicant who has a disability can access the exam and is afforded an equal opportunity to obtain the same results, gain the same benefit, or reach the same level of achievement as that provided to others. And so those testing accommodations include modifications to the testing environment that allow individuals with disabilities the ability to demonstrate their true aptitude or achievement level on standardized exams or other high stakes tests. Next screen, please. So typical accommodations include extra time, testing in a reduced distraction room, extra time over extended days, permission to dictate to a typist or digital recorder. And we also provide special versions of the exam, such as Braille or large print, or even electronic versions of the exam, such as audio as well. Next, please. So in terms of the process, the testing accommodations process lies separately from the exam, meaning that you could apply for testing accommodation long before the bar exam application opens. So we suggest and recommend to applicants to submit their testing accommodations early. So the way to start is you submit the request in the applicant portal. You need to include verification in the event that if you have sat for a high stakes exam with testing accommodations, and to provide the appropriate documentation that is noted on our website that is required as part of that request. That request will come to staff and a determination is made, and a decision will be made either to grant, partially grant, or deny. In the event that an applicant is not successful or wants to a reconsideration, that is allowed. So an applicant can request for a reconsideration, such as when somebody has a partial grant or a denial that is submitted. That reconsideration needs to include statements on the reasoning and provide any additional information that maybe was not provided in the initial request. The State Bar will review that, and appeals will go to the Committee of Bar Examiners, who can grant, deny, or partially grant that accommodation. What's really important here is timeliness. So it's very important for applicants to look at the timelines that are on our website to ensure that you meet the timelines for the bar exam that you wish to sit for. Next slide. So how to reach the Office of Admissions. This is in general, not in the context simply of testing accommodations. So you could check the State Bar website for detailed information and link to State Bar rules. You can email admissions or call. This is our call center, 888-800-3400. You could also submit a general inquiry through the applicant portal, like you saw earlier. And you can make an appointment to visit the State Bar office, and you could do that also through general inquiry in the applicant portal. So these are the various ways to reach our office. Next slide, please. Okay. All right, so here I just want to say that we understand that the process of becoming an attorney can be stressful, especially if you feel like you don't have the tools or support to succeed. So this next section is geared towards those tools that the State Bar is available to support you with, both as a law student and once you join the State Bar and become a licensed attorney. So we're going to start off this presentation on the Lawyer Assistance Program with Program Director Catherine Omgiri and Clinical Monitoring Analyst Shelley Frazier. So I will hand it over to both of you.
Thank you so much, Amy. Appreciate it. My name is Shelley Frazier. I work on the monitoring side of the Lawyer Assistance Program. I love my job. Very happy to see everyone here today. So the State Bar's Lawyer Assistance Program helps attorneys. They can be active, inactive, or even disbarred. We also assist State Bar applicants, and we also assist law students who are struggling with a variety of things. The most common things we see are stress, anxiety, depression, substance use issues, sometimes a combination pack. They often go together. And sometimes it's something more like personal or career concerns. And so we assist with all those things. In doing that, there's, the other goal is to enhance public protection, because we find that healthy people, healthy attorneys, healthy bar applicants are better able to serve the public and protect their clients by being the best attorney they can be. It helps maintain the integrity of the legal profession, of course. Substance use and mental health issues, as I said, often go hand in hand. We do see a lot of people struggling with mental health without substance use, but we don't often see it the other way around. So we often are finding that when we meet with someone who has a substance use issue, that once they sort of get that under control, they find that underneath there's some co-occurring mental health issue that then they can get a handle on and really improve their mental health overall. Next slide, Louisa. Thank you. Thank you. So I just want to touch on confidentiality. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, so just like attorneys, we take our confidentiality very, very seriously in the Lawyer Assistance Program. So it's always assumed that everything is 100% confidential unless it's waived. So we have releases for certain programs. Sometimes someone wants us to be able to communicate with the admissions department. Sometimes someone wants us to communicate with the State Bar Court. Sometimes it's an HR department because someone has come to us and they've asked us to monitor them for the HR department at their firm. In any of these cases, we're always very clear with our participants what we will be disclosing. So there's nothing, it's very minimal what we disclose. Of course, we are required to report certain things when necessary. Those are very, very specific things. So we have basically, if someone is presenting as a danger to themselves or a danger to other people, or if they're gravely disabled or a child is in danger, there are certain things that our license requires us to report for mandated reporting. But we're very transparent about that in the very beginning. So the clinicians always explain to someone who's interested in our program how that all works, so that you enter it with open eyes. That's really important to us. I think now is my chance to introduce Catherine. Catherine, are you?
Yeah, I'm
Will you
here.
take the baton?
Great. So hi, everybody. My name is Kathy Ongiri, and I am the Program Director for the Office of Professional Competence. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Office of Professional Competence, but one of the services that we have is the support side of the Lawyer Assistance Program. And so what we do there is we do outreach regarding the LAP programs, and some of the other things that we provide are free counseling services. So we have individual personal counseling, but we also have career counseling, and those are, you can get two of either or both. And so if you are interested in some of those things, they are on our website. And so I'm going to have Shelley talk a little bit about the professional monitoring, and then I just want to give you a little bit more information about where to find our information.
Thank you, Kathy. I also want to toot Kathy's horn. I didn't ask your permission ahead of time, but what really excites me about what you're doing. So I work on the monitoring side of LAP, but Kathy and her program have been doing amazing things that truly are unprecedented. And I just want to say, I love what you're doing with there's a new series now. It's going through its second time. It was so popular, which was for attorneys living with adult ADHD and how to get organized, how to manage those things. And the two sides of the program work well together, because I think our side, the monitoring side, really has benefited from all you've done. So thank you. So with the professional monitoring, which is where I work, the way that happens is usually someone's asking us to be monitored for a reason. I mentioned some of the most common reasons before. So either they're going through the moral character process and they've been referred by admissions to make sure that they don't have an active alcohol use disorder problem, for example. There are lots of different reasons people can get referred. What we always start with is a confidential assessment with a licensed clinician. So there are 4 of us in the state of California, 5 including the supervisor of the program, who are all licensed mental health professionals. We are all able to do a full comprehensive assessment at no charge. So we always do that first. So you're not paying for anything until you decide, yes, I'm going to go forward with this monitoring. At the end of that assessment, what we're doing then is coming up with a monitoring plan. And basically, it's a very clearly written document that has on it some things that, based on the assessment, we feel like the person would benefit from. So it could be attending support groups of a certain kind. It could be getting an evaluation from a psychiatrist. It could be getting a therapist who specializes in trauma recovery. Or it could be, we have veterans in our program who are now getting a law degree, for example, and they may have been first responders and seen a lot of trauma. So we may refer them to very specialized things. You get the idea. So that's one of the things that is involved. And so we try to come up with a recovery plan. We call it a monitoring plan, but it truly it's very individualized. So we want to make it unique to the person. A big part of that is also, and I think the thing I am most proud of, is the weekly support groups. And those can be accessed by either side of the LAP. So they can be accessed by people on Kathy's side who are just here to get support but don't need monitoring, or monitored folks can also access those. And they're wonderful. They're all via Zoom, and they're made to work with working hours. So they're usually in the evening, or we have one lunchtime group. But that's kind of the overview of the program.
Yeah, so I just wanted to note really quickly that we are testing out a number of psychoeducational programs, like the one Shelley mentioned, the ADHD group. We also are having a mindfulness group, and we do have a specialized program for bar exam retakers. We also do a number of competency presentations on the prevention and detection of substance use disorder, mental health concerns, and wellness. If you're interested in learning more, I will drop we have a lab offerings page where you can get emailed when we're offering new programs. So now I'll go ahead and turn it over to Enrique.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Enrique Zúñiga, and I serve as the Public Trust Liaison for the State Bar of California. I'm here to briefly share how my role supports you, future attorneys, as you navigate through the admissions process and moral character determinations. First, a little bit about the role of the PTL is the Public Trust Liaison serves as a bridge between the public and the State Bar of California, and part of the public includes applicants. We understand that some of our processes can be complex, and we are here to help you if you get stuck along the way. Our goal is to ensure that fairness, transparency, and clarity is assured throughout our entire process. When an issue arises, we ensure that your concerns are heard and addressed. As stated earlier, this is our version of an ombudsperson. If you were to use our form and submit a concern to me, we can assure you that we are going to be proactive. My review will be independent, impartial, and confidential. So let's talk a little bit about the type of questions that you might be having and how we can support you. If you're experiencing a delay and you aren't sure why, a delay in your moral character and fitness application, or maybe a delay in your testing accommodation request, I can help clarify what's going on and whether further action is needed on your part. One thing to keep in mind is that I work with admission staff, but I cannot override decisions. What I do is facilitate communications and help resolve misunderstandings or miscommunications between the applicant and admission staff. So, something to keep in mind. If you're confused about the next step or you feel stuck, I can help you untangle the process and point you in the right direction. And as stated before, this is a confidential and impartial process. So please remember, you are not alone. If you are navigating the admissions process and you feel overwhelmed, remember that support exists. The State Bar of California is not here to keep you out. We are here to help you succeed while upholding the public trust. Now I'm going to talk about how you can reach out to me. You can, if you hit a roadblock or you simply have a question, you don't need to hesitate to contact my office. You can dial our contact center, which is 213-765-1000 or 415-538-2000, or you can go to our landing page, to my landing page, and it's at the State Bar's website, and you can select the inquiry form. You can also find this form on the Contact Us page right next to the Public Trust Liaison. Again, this is the form that I was mentioning that you can write your concerns, tell me what part of the bar you're concerned about, and I'll start doing looking into your inquiry, and I will contact you by either email or phone call. And in closing, I want to thank you, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the legal profession in California. And now I will move on to a presentation by Special Counsel Steve Moad.
Great. Thanks, Enrique. I am Special Counsel Steve Moad. I am the head of the Division of Regulation, and I'm going to give you some thoughts about what resources will help you after you are admitted to the State Bar, post-admission. So the first thing is oath cards. After you are sworn in, you will need to submit your signed oath card to the State Bar. Some law schools or employers will help with this process, but it's not necessary and it's really not that difficult. Please understand that we receive thousands of oath cards in a very short period, and it can take up to 30 days to process your oath card and have a bar number assigned to you. So as soon as you have submitted your oath card and you are otherwise eligible to practice law, you've received your passage and moral character and the bar exam, etc., then you are eligible to practice law. And if you're asked for a bar number, you can just say that it is pending. And that is fine. And that's contained in the oath card FAQs. It's actually question 18. One caveat or two caveats about the oath card is that number one, after your bar card number is assigned, you will receive a letter via U.S. mail with the access code required to set up My State Bar Profile. That is your profile on My State Bar Profile. This letter will be sent to the address you provide on your oath card. Therefore, it is imperative that that address be accurate and current. Every year, some new attorneys are suspended for failure to comply with some obligations because we don't have a way to contact them and send them reminders because they don't set up their profile because they didn't receive the letter. So please be sure that all the information you provide the State Bar for your contact is accurate and current. The second caveat is fees. There is a provision in the State Bar rules that say that if you are sworn in before December 1st, you will owe fees for that year. If you are sworn in after December 1st, then you do not owe fees for that year in which you are sworn in. So just keep that in mind. The next thing that I want to talk about is My State Bar Profile, and I've obviously already alluded to it. So once you get the letter, Louisa, if you can move the slide forward. Once you get the letter I just talked about, you should sign in and create a My State Bar Profile account. Rule 9.9 of the rules of court require you to provide a current email address for State Bar communication. You should not use your law school email address. Many schools revoke access to that address within a certain period of time. You are also required to provide a physical address and phone number. So you can do that by going on to My State Bar Profile, entering the bar number that was assigned to you, and clicking that register button. The next screen will ask for the access code that was provided in the physical letter that was mailed to you. And you can enter that and then go through the steps to register. Next slide, please. So minimum continuing education. In addition to new attorney training, which we'll talk about in just a moment, with a few exceptions, all active State Bar licensees must complete 25 hours of minimum continuing legal education, or MCLE, in their three-year compliance period. And they have to file a declaration with the State Bar saying they have met that requirement. The State Bar will audit compliance with MCLE, and as a new admittee, depending on your MCLE compliance period, you may be able to claim a reduced number of hours because you were just admitted to the State Bar, were inactive, or claimed an exempt status. When that happens, there is a proportional MCLE requirement, which you can look up on our website. That means that you wouldn't be on the hook, so to speak, for all 25 hours, but instead you might owe some number fewer than that. The attorney training, the new attorney training, which we'll talk about, is not MCLE, but new licensees can apply the new attorney training classes to their MCLE requirement if the hours are completed within the licensee's MCLE compliance period. So if you're just admitted, that will likely be true. If you can move on to the next slide. So the new attorney training, new attorneys must complete the new attorney training by the last day of the month of an attorney's 1-year anniversary as a State Bar licensee. For example, if you're admitted on November 23rd, 2025, you must complete the new attorney training by November 30th, 2026. The new attorney training is available through My State Bar Profile. That's another reason you want to be sure that you register for My State Bar Profile. Once an attorney has established their My State Bar profile account, they will be added to the e-learning portal and will receive a confirmation email from the State Bar at the email address you provided for State Bar communication. That email will provide instructions on how to access the new attorney training program courses. The online courses can be completed in any order and at your own pace. The topics include some of the areas we have found where lawyers are most likely to get in trouble or problems we have identified in the attorney-client relationship. So, for example, there are courses on conflict resolution, interpersonal and communication skills and technology, introduction to law practice management, attorney communication duties, the attorney as a fiduciary of funds and property of clients and others, the duty of confidentiality and conflicts of interest, and attorney well-being. There's also a course on the attorney as officer of the court, which addresses civility and pro bono legal services. You can move on to the next slide. So Rule 2.2 of the rules of the State Bar says that every year, all licensees must review and update or verify their attorney record. Rule 2.2C says attorneys shall report to the State Bar a change in any of the information in subsection B no later than 30 days after that change. So the annual verification and reporting within 30 days includes the licensee's name. So if you change your name, if you change your non-public email address for State Bar communication, your physical office address and phone number, your trust account information, and other jurisdictions in which you're licensed, things like that, that needs to be verified annually and reported. Any change needs to be reported within 30 days of the change. Next year, 2026, you will also have to report the number of pro bono hours you provided. Business and Professions Code Section 6073 encourages lawyers to provide pro bono legal services each year and to contribute financially to California legal aid organizations. Business and Professions Code Section 6073.2, enacted in 2024, created a new requirement for active licensees to report on the number of hours of pro bono legal services performed in the previous year and the number of hours of reduced fee legal services performed for a low-income individual, nonprofit organization, or a public law library in the previous year. The State Bar encourages all active licensees to track their pro bono and reduced fee hours, and all data reported is confidential and will only be reported on in the aggregate. So that's all part of that edit or verifying the attorney record. And as you can see here, it's very easy to do on your My State Bar profile. If you can move on to the next slide, please. So that brings us to CTAP, or the Client Trust Account Protection Program. CTAP clarifies what responsibilities an attorney has related to client funds and funds of other persons and how to manage client trust accounts. CTAP also imposes an annual reporting and client trust account registration responsibilities on the State Bar licensees. And I do emphasize that is an annual requirement. We have had some people who did it once and then the following year didn't do it and were assessed a non-compliance fee and said, but I did it last year. It is an annual requirement. The good news is that any accounts you register in year one will also be there in year two, so you don't have to re-register the same accounts, but you do need to update certain information like the balance information. I'll talk about more in a second. So to comply with your annual reporting obligation, you must answer a screening question. And actually, I think this would be on the next slide is some more detail about that. But you have to answer a screening question as to whether or not you were responsible for compliance. Sorry, Louise, if you can advance the slide. Thank you. So you will answer that screening question as to whether or not you were responsible for compliance with the obligations or prohibitions of Rule 1.15 of the Rules of Professional Conduct, which again covers entrusted funds and property. If the answer is no, you can submit your declaration, that final step declaration, and your reporting is complete. If, however, you are responsible for complying with obligations or prohibitions in Rule 1.15, you need to report whether you have an IOLTA, a non-IOLTA trust account, or both. Of course, to do that, you'll need to know the difference between an IOLTA and a non-IOLTA trust account. And you can see our frequently asked questions in the CTAP program for more information about that, and that will help you answer these questions. Licensees must then register each and every trust account with the State Bar, and again, annually update the December 31st balance or the balance on the date that the account was closed every year. They then must complete a self-assessment to ensure they're compliant with the trust accounting rules, certify they're knowledgeable about and in compliance with the rules governing safekeeping of client funds, and finally submit that declaration saying that the information they provided is true. And again, your CTAP annual reporting is done via My State Bar profile, so it's very important that you get registered for that so you can comply with all these requirements. Next up, we have Program Director Kathy Ongiri to provide an overview of some ethics resources.
Hi, everybody, again. So as I mentioned, I am the Program Director of the Office of Professional Competence. And what our office does, it really promotes attorney ethics, professional responsibility, and competence through education, policy development, and resource oversight. So our office includes the support side of the Lawyer Assistance Program. We staff the Committee on Professional Responsibility and Conduct. And the ethics hotline is another great resource. So as you can see on this slide, we do offer a number of ethics resources for our licensees. And so the first one I want to mention is the ethics hotline. And this is a free research assistance service for attorneys to assist with ethical dilemmas. We also have a library of online resources on our website that we update regularly. And if you go to the attorney section, ethics pages, you'll see a whole bunch of resources there. We also do continuing legal education programs that are designed to help you stay current and competent in your practice. So once you become barred, we do have a number of free MCLEs, well, a number of MCLEs through our learning management system. Some are free, some are paid. And so those are all great resources for our licensees, and we really hope you'll take advantage of them once you become a member of the bar. And I'll turn it back over to Leah.
I'm responding to questions that many of you are sending in, so I lost my screen. Thank you. And we're running a little bit early, which is great. We'll have plenty of time for Q&A. Oh, no, not Q&A. We're going to turn it over to one other sort of a new addition to our programming this year, where we're going to hear from local and affinity bar associations, another resource for you as you enter into the practice. And I believe, Cynthia, are you kicking this off?
I can.
Okay, great. Then hopefully you can then orchestrate the move amongst the different associations. That would be great. Thank you. Go ahead, Cynthia.
Okay, so I don't have the list of folks in front of me while I'm talking, so I'm going to count on the next person to jump in. But let me just start off by saying my name's Cynthia Chandler. I'm the COO of the Alameda County Bar Association, and that's in Alameda County, the East Bay, and the San Francisco Bay Area. And I just wanted to preface what all of our bar associations are going to say with the following fact, which is just, it is a fact that your professional, personal life will go better as a lawyer if you join some bar associations. And the reason, and actually, typically we recommend that folks join potentially up to 3 bar associations, one geography, one on substantive law, and one on identity. Because the more connected you are to your legal community, the easier it is to practice in a way that makes you succeed personally, professionally, and ethically, and get the support you need, especially as a new practitioner. So the Alameda County Bar Association is, we have about 2,000 members. We're a voluntary bar association. We tend to be thought of as the small firm and solo bar association for the San Francisco Bay Area. We have an incredibly active association with lots of different groups and sort of subsections to be part of around lots of different areas of practice, as well as a special section that's designed to support new members of the bar, which we call our Barristers Association. Students can join for about $35 for the rest of the time that you're a student, or you can also join for $35 annually as a new member of the bar. And the last thing I want to say is a really wonderful resource we have, not just for the Bay Area, but statewide, is a business incubator called the Bay Area Legal Incubator, which is an incubator that is designed specifically to help lawyers launch and build successful modern practices in the new economy. And we have a very diverse group of attorneys. You can participate virtually or you can participate in person. It's $350 a month unless your school sponsors and helps us reduce the cost. And with that, you can also get free office space, free Lexis Westlaw, and lots of case management, lots of resources, but most importantly, one-on-one business coaching, as well as coaching in groups around substantive law, and also lots of the things you need to really run a successful business. For folks who are in LA, also check out the Los Angeles Incubator Consortium, which is an incubator in Los Angeles that specifically supports attorneys there, and we do a lot of collaborative work. I think that covers it. I'm going to throw into chat links for our association as well as both incubators, and I wish folks all the best into the future. And who's next?
It's me. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Helen Hong. I am the CEO of CalBar Connect. CalBar Connect is a free platform for all licensed California attorneys. And what we focus on is giving free discounts and resources for products and services for attorneys. We are also the administrator for the State Bar of California sponsored insurance products. Think of malpractice insurance, life insurance, long-term disability insurance. And we are the member benefits provider for the California Lawyers Association, whose members get sometimes deeper discounts. I like to just say, think of us as like a small legal Costco for attorneys. We negotiate discounts for California attorneys to help you and the profession, because our net revenues go back into our profession for social good. There's no catch, it's free. And what we want to do is help, especially supporting solo and small firm attorneys. As someone who is an attorney and who's run a law office, I know how difficult it is to not only practice, but to run the back office of a law firm. So we try keeping up with the tech and the details to help you do that. From case management software, trust accounting, other tech services, to travel like Hertz and hotels, to office supplies, computers, and even retirement administrators and student loan refinancing, our goal is to be helpful. Discounts can range from 10% off for life for some of these subscriptions, credits, or other offers. And like what I said, CalBar Connect helps the profession. Our net revenues go to support access to justice initiatives, legal aid organizations in California, and fellowships for law students and new lawyers. We partner with a lot of different associations, like the California Women's Lawyers Association, the California Lawyers Associations. There are many statewide groups as well as local and other affinity groups that you'll hear from today. Anything that you're interested in or that you want to get to know in, I'm sure there's an association for you to learn and to get mentorship in. So really, I would say find what you're interested in or that you are passionate about, and you will find a community. So once you become a licensed attorney, come over to calbarconnect.com and sign up for our monthly newsletter. Since this is a group discount for California lawyers, you need to be a California licensed attorney, so I can't ask you to sign up now. But we also provide free resources, MCLEs, and webinars. So just bookmark our webpage and visit us. I'm wishing you all the best and congratulations on your journey and looking forward to welcoming you into the profession.
Great. Helen, who's next? Carolyn, I see.
Okay.
Yeah. Go
Good
ahead.
afternoon, Leah. How are you?
Good.
Oh, okay. My name is Carolyn Chining, and I am on the Los Angeles County Bar Association Board of Trustees. Been a trustee for now almost 2 years. I've been the chair of the small firm section and on a number of different committees. I really recommend LACBA if you're in the Los Angeles or even the Southern California area. We have about, I think, over 10,000 members. And I would say that there's a couple different things to talk to this group about. One are the sections that we have. We have a new admittee section, also CLE, actually 4 things. You can get pro bono experience, and then also just the kind of support that if you are a solo attorney, immediately off the bat, mentoring with people in our small firm section. First, our new admittees section, we have 2 free years of membership. And then for an additional $35 to $45, you can have membership in all the sections. We have 19 different sections, ranging from animal law, which is a brand new section, to our litigation section, which is full of big firms, small firms, judges, all kinds of people you can interact with, to even more specific sections, real estate, tax. And if you're looking for that CLE, sometimes CLE can be prohibitively expensive. And so we offer CLEs one at a time, here and there, lunches, brown bags. But if you're a section member, you can get some amazing CLE for no money. We also have an ethics, 2-night ethics symposium where you can get all the specialty credits. Again, almost very, very low prices for that. But we also offer, and people don't really know this very much, we have something called the Center for Justice. And that can give you pro bono clinical experience helping victims of domestic violence, helping people who need help with their immigration status, veterans who need assistance. So we really have a robust pro bono clinic that people can work with. We also have something called Smart Law, which is one of the state bar's certified legal certification referral services. You can do sliding scale and modest means representation, which is great if you're new, and also giving back to the community that way. We have something called the Trial Advocacy Project, which is an intensive trial experience project for new admittees. But you can also really do the kind of networking that may not be, we're broad based. Our offices are downtown, but we do networking all over Los Angeles County. And one of the things I love about our small firm section is it's across all kinds of areas of law. So we have solos in real estate, we have solos in wills and trusts, we have solos in family, and we all interact and we get together. And it's a great place to find mentors and even leadership positions. In our barrister section, we encourage new admittees to get involved in leadership roles right away. Leah's looking down at her notes.
Yeah, Carolyn, I think we've got to
on
move on. And I really hope, I know it's hard, but I really wanted to just give people a flavor of what different types of bars do as opposed to advertising your particular bar. So I see Seth and Maria here. Either one, go ahead. Thank you.
Hi, folks. My name is Seth Chavez. I'm the executive director of the San Fernando Valley Bar Association. By way of preamble, what Cynthia said, really what we're doing is we're providing kind of a community for lawyers and providing a lot of great services that lawyers will need, educational services, networking opportunities to get mentorship with other attorneys. Like most regional bars, we have sections, we have a foundation, a magazine. So it presents, so we have opportunities for writing, if that's what you want to do. There's leadership opportunities in local bars. Lots of great committees you can get involved with to kind of mix with other attorneys and kind of build leadership skills. For example, we have a diversity committee, we have a conference of delegates committee, and so on. So there's really a lot of great opportunities. for lawyers, I think in local bars, including referral services, which Caroline mentioned. We have a referral program as well. A lot of really great kind of due structures. You should look at those for local bars. For example, ours, we have kind of a monthly due structure, a quarterly or annual due structure. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. I think you'll find a lot of local bars have this type of flexibility and a lot of really practical kind of business building opportunities, not just networking, but really practical referral programs. Carolyn mentioned LACMA has a referral program. The SFVBA also has a referral program. We have special panels for attorneys that are new and may not be particularly experienced in certain practice areas. So again, I encourage you to just get involved with local bar associations, take a look at all the ones that are available and just kind of get a flavor for what you might be interested in and look at options. And finally, I'll just say open door policy here. If you have any kind of questions, you can feel free to reach out to me. Again, I'm Seth Chavez of the San Fernando Valley Bar Association. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those as well. And I'll give back the rest of my time if I have any.
Okay, great. I think Maria, you'll close this section out.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maria Dominguez, she, her, and I'm the president of the California La Raza Lawyers Association. And before I share some words, I want to congratulate all of you for being here and taking this very important step in your lives and careers as bar applicants. I distinctly remember being where you are, being very nervous. And in this climate, I can only imagine what you're feeling right now. The California La Raza Lawyers Association is an umbrella organization composed of 15 individual member organizations throughout our state, representing Northern California, the Central Valley, and Southern California. What do our affinity bar organizations offer to you? We have mentorship, networking, scholarship, leadership opportunities, and most importantly, community. All of our organizations are open to everyone. We value diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm going to name the organizations that our association represents: the Association of Latino Marin Attorneys, the Cruz Reynoso Bar Association, East Bay La Raza Lawyers Association, which I happen to be its president, Hispanic Bar Association of Orange County. We also have the one in the Inland Empire, our regional chapters of the Hispanic National Bar Association, the La Raza Lawyers Association of the Central Valley, also Solano County, the Latina Lawyers Bar Association, the Latinx Bar Association of Ventura County, Mexican American Bar Association of Los Angeles County, San Diego La Raza Lawyers Association, San Francisco, and Santa Clara La Raza Lawyers Association. I also belong to the Minority Bar Coalition of the San Francisco Bay Area, and I want to mention our counterparts in Southern California, the Minority Bar Coalition, the Minority Bar Multicultural Bar Coalition of Los Angeles County. Please, we urge you to reach out to so many affinity bar associations throughout our state. We are rich in our diversity and we work with each other. We cannot wait to welcome you as members of our bar. Many of you have already joined our affinity bar associations as law students. And if you didn't get a chance to do that, we urge you to find one in your local jurisdiction and to reach out to us for all of these opportunities that await you. So thank you.
Great, thank you. So we are going to start Q&A now. I've seen a request in the Q&A that we poll those of you that are participating to ask you about your preference for Scantron versus online multiple choice responses. So Louisa, I think you've been able to set that up. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to put that in the chat, a link to that? Yes.
Before you do, I think we just want to get a couple of facts out there. So if the multiple choice are loaded in the system, the questions would be in the system and your answers as well. You would be able to mark off not only the correct answer, but strike out the incorrect answers. Also, you would be provided with scratch paper. I think some of the concern that I've been hearing, certainly not all of it, about loading questions, answering questions in the system, is that they won't have a place to map out their answers, to sort of draw whatever kind of trees and other maps they need to really think through the answers. So there would be scratch paper, physical scratch paper that would be provided. I don't know if that changes anybody's impression, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was answering the survey with that information on what the multiple choice would look like if it were loaded in the system.
Okay, thanks, Donna.
Okay.
So we will go ahead. I do want to thank everybody that joined us, especially for the first time new, our local affinity bars and Cal Bar Connect. So thank you. And sorry, I'm kind of rushing, but I do know there's a lot of questions to respond to. So what I have done, because I've been monitoring the Q&A, is just asked the admissions folks to start off. There's a few broad categories. There's the multiple choice questions, what we're doing to ensure the quality of those questions, how to prepare for them, etc. There is site issues, lots of questions about specifics around sites and locations. And then there's what I call exam administration. Donna just answered one of the questions, which she said scratch paper would be available, but a number of questions about scratch paper, highlighters, etc. So I'd like to ask somebody from the admissions team to pick one of those categories, and let's go through them and help make sure we kind of hit those answers. Natalie, I think you can facilitate this. I don't know which topic to start with, but I think those are the big topics that I'm seeing in the Q&A. And again, Louisa, I think, let's see, did you post a link?
Yes, the link has been posted.
Okay, so we'll just have you guys respond to that in the background while we're doing the rest of Q&A.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm Natalie Leonard. I work with educational standards, generally with the law schools, but also with the law students. I'm glad to be here today. I would suggest that we start with exam site questions and then move to exam administration and then the multiple choice questions as top questions. And then there are a few other topics. Thank you to everyone who has submitted a question, whether we've answered it publicly or privately. And Cody, would you like to begin just generally with the site questions? One we've been receiving quite a bit relates to San Diego and needing to be in a zip code that is in the San Diego area. Can you just address that for a bit? Some people have asked, what if we plan to move to San Diego before the actual exam?
Yeah, thank you so much, Natalie. And what I think I'll do here is respond to that question, but also maybe zoom out a little bit and share some information about our testing sites in general, because I think this is a really important area for all of our applicants. So first, starting zoomed in, we had a participant in the audience ask whether or not they could select the San Diego testing location if they do not currently live there, but plan to move there in the future. We have typically reserved the San Diego testing location for applicants who have an address on file in the applicant portal in that area because it is a market that has, I think, traditionally just been an important market where there's maybe limited options for us to secure sites. For this particular test taker, our recommendation for them would be to submit a test center request, which can be done through the applicant portal, and they can communicate to the State Bar through that request the circumstances that they're facing, and staff will use that information to determine whether or not their request will be approved. But as I said, typically the San Diego test locations, when an applicant goes to submit their application initially, are only available to those that have an address in that area that's already on file. Now zooming out, I've seen a lot of questions in today's presentation just about the current status of the testing sites, which sites are available, and where we are maybe currently engaging in additional discussions. So what I want to be clear about is that we have really tried for this administration to be very clear about where we stand in the process. And when it comes to the testing sites, we have posted on our website a list of testing locations in the Los Angeles region, San Francisco region, the Sacramento region, and the San Diego region. But we've been really careful to list these as what we've called anticipated testing sites. And that is because these testing sites are pending approval first by the Board of Trustees, which took action last week, and now the Committee of Bar Examiners that will be considering whether or not to approve these testing sites tomorrow. So we will be updating our webpage to reflect the fact that reflect the instances in which a testing site is no longer anticipated, but finalized, meaning we have completed a contract and we know full well that the sites will be available. I do want to say, though, staff have been in communication with these sites. In some instances, we have sites reserved. In other instances, we are continuing to have discussions with the locations, but the locations that we have published as an anticipated site online right now, we do believe will remain the list of sites once the committee takes action. Meaning, I don't think that applicants here should be concerned that sites will be made unavailable once the committee takes that action. The last thing I want to note is I did see in our chats, our Q&A box, some folks asking whether or not future sites would be made available. We are still searching for additional locations for test takers with testing accommodations in the LA market. And we'll be sure to publish the final list online as soon as we have those updates.
Cody, there was a specific question about additional testing accommodation sites in the Bay Area also. Is that something that's still being looked at, or have those sites been finalized?
I believe those sites are finalized. Right now, you can visit the webpage and you will see that in the San Francisco area, we have the Oakland Convention Center as a test center for those receiving testing accommodations. We also are using a location at Golden Gate University, which I believe we used in July 2024. And not necessarily the Bay Area directly, but I did see some folks asking about locations further north, and we have another location for those with testing accommodations at the Hilton Sacramento Arden West for those in the Sacramento area.
Thanks, Cody. I think that covers the vast majority of the questions we got about site areas. I think the next would be in the area of exam administration. I know you've been going through the chat as to some of the questions about the conditions of the exam, what people will have access to, or how they can refer on our website to find out that information.
Yeah, I think maybe it'd be helpful to check off a lot of the questions that I saw, kind of walking through our overview of the July 2025 exam administration and maybe quickly identifying areas where things maybe look different than it did in February. And also maybe taking a moment to identify the areas where we are still pending final decisions. Again, I think we've really tried to make our communication more clear. And one of the ways that we hope to do that is to call attention to areas where there's still, decision-making processes in place. So let me walk through kind of that overview. And I think Amy did a really wonderful job earlier in the presentation doing so, but it probably is worth repeating some of these details. So the July 2025 bar exam, of course, is returning to in-person testing for all test takers, and that in-person testing will only be located at test sites in California. And so that is different than what we saw in February, in which test takers could choose whether or not to test remotely from their own location, and also different in the sense that we had small test sites located outside of California. That will not be the case for July 2025. As far as the exam delivery goes, applicants are going to receive hard copy exam materials with scratch paper for the written session of the exam, and they will respond to those questions using their personal laptop. So this is the administration approach that some test takers might remember that we used for many administrations prior to February 2025. There will, of course, be a handwriting option for those who prefer to respond to the entire exam in a written form. We've heard several times today the delivery method for the multiple choice questions is not yet finalized, and the Committee of Bar Examiners will be considering at their April 8th meeting whether or not the multiple choice questions are going to be loaded into the exam software so that test takers can respond to those questions
Cody,
directly on their laptop.
I want to interrupt you.
Sure.
If the multiple choice questions are given via Scantron, given online or on Scantron, folks will have scratch paper available for those as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. It's not something that's published yet on our webpage because we are pending this final approval from the Committee of Bar Examiners, and then we will be updating our webpage to reflect those details as well.
Okay. And we have several questions about the breaks between the sections of the MCQs.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I was going right into that.
Okay.
So just quickly describing the sessions, we are going to have the written sessions as 5 one-hour essay questions and 1 90-minute performance test, but we are returning to a format that looks like the way we administered the exams prior to February. So what that means is you will respond to essays 1, 2, and 3 within a 3-hour block. And an applicant in that 3-hour session can answer the questions in any order they prefer. And they can use their time, the full time allotted for that 3-hour session to respond to those questions as they see fit. So again, that's a return to the model prior to February 2025. In that sense, or in that session, excuse me, there will be a lunch break between the first 3-hour block and the essays 4 and 5 and performance test session after the lunch break. So there's one kind of calendared break. However, I do want to note test takers can leave their seat. They can use the restroom during those sessions, so long as they do so prior to 10 minutes before the end of the session. So those are 2 big sessions in which applicants will have a lunch break between them, but they'll have that flexibility to get up and use the restroom. Day 2 is going to look a bit like it did in February 2025 in the sense that we will have 200 multiple choice questions, and they will be divided into 4 90-minute sessions with breaks between each session. We have not yet published the details of the length of those breaks between sessions because that decision is going to be predicated on whether or not the questions are delivered in a paper format in which we may require additional time to distribute and collect the materials. So that will be a detail that we will be providing and updating on the webpage as soon as possible.
Pretty, thank you. I think that gives a good overview of the types of questions we've been receiving.
Sorry, Natalie. Highlighters, pens, are those going to be allowed?
Yeah, that's another area where we are really sensitive to making sure that we clearly communicate with applicants the permitted and prohibited items list. Right now, we have on the exams webpage kind of a preliminary list that indicates all of the materials that any test taker can use during both the written and the multiple choice session of the exam. So we've listed things that are kind of the most common questions that we've received to date: external mouse and keyboard, seat cushion, footrests, laptop riser, and a few other notable items that will be permitted. The full and final list of the permitted items will be published online before April 30th. We are working on enhancing that content so that it is as clear as possible ahead of the July 2025 exam. So we'll be able to share with test takers a comprehensive and very clear publication listing the permitted items very soon.
Okay, another question is, will folks be able to return back to questions that they passed on? I don't know if this is essay only or also multiple choice.
Well, when it comes to the written portion, because we are going back to the 3-hour block and 3.5-hour block session, an applicant will have in, let's say, session 1, all 3 of the essays that they're responding to, and they will be able to use that session. They'll be able to respond to questions in whatever order they want, and they can use their time amongst those 3 questions however they want. So in that sense, yes, you will be able to flip back and forth between the questions within that session.
Okay.
As far as the multiple choice session is concerned, I personally am not yet sure whether or not you'll be able to return to questions within the 50 that you are responding to in that 90 minutes. Perhaps one of my admissions colleagues knows the answer to that.
Yes, you'll be able to navigate through the multiple choice questions back from the beginning. You're out allotted in that time frame in your allotted 90 minutes for 50 questions. You can move forward or backward within those questions.
Okay.
Great, thank you, Amy.
All right, Natalie.
Here we go. We've also received some questions about the multiple choice portion. Amy talked about that in a general overview up front. We're getting some general questions in the area of how were they drafted, any recommendations from the bar for preparing, any differences we might expect to see versus February or versus the previous NCBE questions.
Thanks, Natalie. And I appreciate these questions. Maybe I'll start at the top by just kind of revisiting the process for developing the multiple choice questions that were first introduced for the February exam. This process began some time ago, and in 2024, the State Bar contracted with Kaplan Exam Services to develop multiple choice questions specifically for the California Bar exam. And these questions underwent a rigorous content validation process that included review by law school faculty. It also included recently admitted attorneys and supervising attorneys as well. Reviewers in those panels assessed each question for appropriate content mapping, legal accuracy, measurement of minimum competence, and the absence of bias as well. So there's a robust process that was followed in developing those questions alongside the vendor. Since then, an independent psychometrician has shared with the Committee of Bar Examiners initial analysis of the performance of these questions, and there will be continuous analysis or another set of analyses at the April 18th Committee of Bar Examiner meeting when the psychometrician discusses with the members initial grading results from the February 2025 bar examination. So I share that to just suggest that there were a lot of processes that have gone into the development on the front end and also the analysis, meaning the back end, reviewing how these questions performed in a real live examination after they're administered in February 2025. So that, I think, helps respond to some of the questions related to how they were developed and the quality of these questions. There were a number of questions about how applicants should prepare for July 2025 examination, knowing that multiple choice questions developed by our vendor will be continued to be used. I want to first highlight that we have really brought forward on the State Bar's California Bar Examination webpage a number of exam preparation resources, and we really tried to put a spotlight on these. So if you visit calbar.ca.gov/admissions/examinations/California-bar-examination, you will see a list of resources. That includes a student guide that we provided applicants ahead of the February 2025 exam with 25 sample questions from those multiple choice questions developed for the California Bar exam. We are reviewing that material, the student guide, and we'll provide updates to the extent that it's necessary. But additionally, our plan is to publish additional questions for practice as well. Now, I know not everyone in this audience follows our work around this issue as closely as possible, or as closely as I do. But we have been very consistent in our message and our belief that existing multiple choice question bar exam preparation materials are appropriate because these questions that were developed for the California bar exam were designed to not require a modification in the way that applicants prepare for the exam. And so what that means is we have heard from applicants who have asked whether or not they can use their existing prep materials. And the answer is yes, that is still relevant in this case.
And Cody, I want to circle back to an administration question from a topic we looked at earlier. For people that are waiting for a site that might not be confirmed until the next committee meeting, should they register for an available site now and then request a test center change, or should they wait, or is this their choice?
Yeah, well, I think I want to make sure I understand where that question's coming from. If an applicant is applying for the bar examination and they're not sure whether or not the sites that are currently listed are going to be available, that goes back to my previous comment that we fully believe that the currently published list of test sites will be available. It's just pending final approval by the Committee of Bar Examiners. Of course, we will communicate any updates accordingly. If an applicant is actually asking because they are willing to submit an application using one of these listed sites, but maybe is interested in knowing whether sites are added in the future, then I would encourage them to submit an application now, and they can submit a test center change request through the applicant portal in the future if another site becomes available.
Okay, thank you. We also received a number of general questions on another topic, which is the multi-state professional responsibility exam. There was a cut score change some time ago in approximately 2005. And so if you took it prior to that, you would need to see whether or not you met the current cut score that was changed quite a bit of time ago. But also something else that sometimes happens to make everyone aware is hopefully you've registered within the first 90 days of law study as a law student. But if you haven't, when you later take the MPRE exam, even if you ask for your scores to be sent to California, it doesn't have a place to attach in our system, and you'll need to just email us and let us know. So if you took the exam before you registered, even if you sent the scores to California, by sending that email to us, we can check records and get that score attached to your record. So we had several questions in that area. Okay. I'm looking through the questions here. We've answered some of them in public and also privately when there were specific questions. So we've been going through several hundred. So I appreciate your patience as we look in a number of directions at once. And we're getting very close to the end. And the good news is we're getting very close to the end of the question list as well. I'll ask the panelists to double check, are there any questions that you've answered in writing that you just want to take a moment to emphasize here? And we do see a couple of hands that are raised due to the size. In order to give everyone a chance to ask, we'll be asking people to put the questions into the chat. So please, for those with hands raised, just type your question in the chat so we can address it.
Natalie, if I can take one moment to answer another question I saw here as well that I think is important for this audience. We did see a number of questions related to the status of the results from the November special session where applicants were volunteered to participate in a special exam session. The State Bar's Board of Trustees received a number of public comments, and the board discussed this briefly at its meeting last week. Following that meeting, the Office of Admissions sent an update email on a variety of exam-related information. But one of the pieces of information that was in that email I just want to highlight, which is that any information about the score adjustments provided to individuals who participated in the November special session are going to be available with the release of the February bar exam results through the applicant portal. So our communication was not as clear as it could have been or should have been, but we are providing this clarity now, and we want applicants to know that that information will be shared at that time. I do want to note, though, that the absence of that information does not mean that the process hasn't been moving forward as intended. So there has been a lot of work behind the scenes to review those responses and to perform the kind of analysis that needs to be performed after any exam session. So we are anticipating at the Committee of Bar Examiners April 18th meeting that the committee will be reviewing data from both the November session and the February bar exam, and an independent psychometrician will be developing recommendations about any score adjustments, both for participating in the special session and any other recommendations in relation to the February administration.
Then thinking ahead after today, this information will be posted on the State Bar YouTube channel. You'll be able to review this presentation again. But if we think about where we'd like to direct students on the website with their questions, can you just spotlight where they should be checking generally?
Now, are you asking where an applicant should keep an eye out for updates related to the exam, the upcoming exam?
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm going to keep saying it because I think it's really a priority for us. We are really centralizing a lot of our exam-related content into fewer web pages. We are trying to add as much specificity as possible. So I would encourage anyone who really wants to continue to follow updates related to the July administration to visit the State Bar's website, and I should probably describe walking through it. You can start by visiting calbar.ca.gov, which is our homepage. You can click on the admissions tab, and then you can click on the examinations tab. And there is a page dedicated to the California bar examination as a whole, and another page dedicated to the July 2025 administration. That July 2025 page is where we will be providing clear updates moving forward. When it comes to some of the pending details, such as locations, the prohibited items list, and other policies, we anticipate that all of those updates will be made between now and April 30th. So there'll be a number of updates made in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you.
All
And then-
right. Thank you. Yeah, I think we're nearing the end. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. We will send out the deck and some of the links that I think were mentioned by a few of our local and affinity bars. We'll send those out as well. And anything else we can think of that will be helpful. We'll have the results of the poll that was administered during this latter part of the meeting. We'll share those out tomorrow at the Committee of Bar Examiners meeting. So thank you. Any last words from anybody else on the Zoom screen?
Thank you for such great participation. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.